existence.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Good morning, everyone. This is Chris Sheldon with the Worldwide Resistance Network. If you are watching this, you are the Resistance. Joining me today is, as always, good old Reverend Ordo, and this is TWWRN's Roundtable, the one and only podcast, I'm willing to wager, that makes you a part of the conversation. Why? Because we are of the people, by the people, for the people. Whereas most radio shows and podcasts, they'll throw out a hotline number and have a few callers. We say, fuck that shit. Come be a part of the conversation. Come be a part of the show from beginning to end. That is our philosophy. So if you like these podcasts and you like the content that we are producing and the topics that we are covering, please, please, please share the live feeds. Follow us on our various social medias, X, YouTube, Rumble, Facebook, all at REALTWWRN. I was going to do Discord, but I'm like, nah, that's too much. Fuck that shit. And also on YouTube, be sure to hit those like and subscribe buttons and that notification bell to not only fuck up YouTube's algorithm, but be notified anytime we go live. Check out our online store, RealTWWRN.printify.me. Tons of great merchandise. And again, be a part of the conversation, my brothers and sisters. This is as much about you as it is about me and the topics and the co-hosts and everything. Because without you, there is no us. Without you, there is no end to tyranny. And on that note, we really want to get into it. It's going to make my brain hurty. It'll make my brain hurty, man.
But there is good news about the firing of Pam or Spam Bondi.
Oh yeah, she's canned, and guess who took her place? The slimy toad Todd Blanche. Yeah,
She got fired for tipping off Eric Swallowwell.
told you she was loyal to the fucking money. Where is that?
Christian Nome got fired from her position, and so did Pam Bondi. Now the question is Tulsi Gabbard, is her job on the chopping block?
Probably, but you see it already. America's new Attorney General, Toad Blanche, says we're not going to prosecute the predators in the Epstein files or release the names to the public. He's already made the declaration that just because it's not a crime to party with Epstein. No, but it is a crime to engage in rape, human trafficking of children, human sacrifice, cannibalism, unauthorized scientific experiments on kidnapped parties.
Exactly. I mean, this is not the first time that there's been this kind of shit in DC. Now, if you go back to, I'm gonna mention him here, Johnny Gosh. Okay, 1982, paperboy out of Des Moines, Iowa.
Mm-hmm.
Out of Iowa. He went out to deliver newspapers, and he got kidnapped.
Yeah.
And the very fishy of it is the Des Moines PD. Well, no, Des Moines, Iowa. Okay, Des Moines, Iowa. The Des Moines PD didn't do a fucking thing. The police chief didn't want to do it. Did not want to do it. Why? Because he was involved in it.
Yeah.
And so Lorraine Gosh, mother who wants her son back, was beginning to be a thorn in their side because, hey, I want my son back.
Yeah, of course.
No. And in 82, he was 12 years old. Okay. You count 4 decades, right? He'll be in his mid 50s, mid late 50s.
Yeah. And to this day, nobody's heard word one from him.
Yeah. It got so bad that there's a hit at Honor. A hit. A kill kill on spot shot, you know what I'm saying, And
yeah.
It got so bad where 2 years later, another paper boy from Des Moines, Iowa was kidnapped. Now this goes to the in DC. This was the Reagan era, man. They sent these kids to DC for these parties. Okay, these parties.
Yeah.
Like shit, man. So it ain't the first time that DC had a little tit with kids here. You know what I'm saying?
Oh yeah, they're always getting caught up in that kind of shit for some reason.
So I mean,
fuckers got a fucking boner for that shit.
Well, what was their best place to pick up kids at the time? The Boys and Girls Club in Nebraska.
True. Allegedly, there's been a lot of disappearances in Disneyland as well. Mothers and their children go into Disneyland and never come out. Or so the rumor is told.
It is. I mean, it is. I mean, it is to a point that when you look at all this shit happening throughout the decades, like, man, what up? Is my kid gonna be the next Lindbergh baby? What the fuck, man? You know what I'm saying? Shit.
Yeah. Well, I mean, these people sit there and act like fucking saints. Like, you got all these fucking churches and shit that fucking push this narrative that Trump is some fucking savior. And I did point out that if Trump put Israel on a leash, formed an alliance with Russia, and prosecuted the people in the Epstein files, if Trump got Russia away from China, formed an alliance, turned them capitalists, put Israel on a fucking leash, and prosecuted everybody in the Epstein files, the people of the world would see him as the next best thing since sliced bread. The greatest person to ever live, second only to Jesus Christ. And then, God, this fucking happens. Like, oh my God, I am like so sick to my fucking stomach looking at this.
The thing is, if he did that, I mean, it's common knowledge that it'll have. I mean, the whole DC elites, we're like, why is he cutting off Israel and going to Russia?
Well, check this out. This is what I'm getting at.
Are we going to become communists now? No. The thing is,
but if you turn Russia capitalist, getting them away from communist China, and Russia turns capitalist, and then you have the two biggest nuclear superpowers on the same page with who are allies, who have the same allies, and you look at the rest of the world and go, okay, it's not all the little people, all the little countries fighting amongst each other, hiding behind two big dogs. Now the big dogs are on the same page. Everybody needs to sit down and knock their shit off.
Yeah. But what I'm trying to say is, you have these idiots that still have that. They want to hold on to this Cold War shit. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
Ladies and gentlemen, the Cold War has been over since 1991. Okay?
It has.
I was 15 years old in 91. Okay? 91.
Mhm.
Now, why do we want to keep the Cold War extended? Look, let it go.
Yeah, I do want to double back to that
deal.
in a few minutes. But I was actually going in a different direction. So if you would hold that thought, because I want to go down that rabbit hole in a moment here. But I want to point out something. You know, I said a couple weeks ago on air that if Trump turned this shit around and did X, Y, and Z, he'd be hailed as the next best thing since sliced bread, or the greatest person to ever live, second only to Jesus Christ. But then you have this fucking hoochie. Fucking what the fuck was her name? I cannot remember her goddamn name. I have it here.
Kim Kardashian?
No. You're funny.
Taylor Swift?
You wish. No, Paula White. A freaking televangelist, Paula White. Is comparing Trump
she
to
found
Jesus
another
Christ.
dumbass preacher. Oh yeah, that's
She took my words and twisted it and is publicly comparing him to Jesus Christ. Here you go.
Website, here it is.
Jesus taught us so many lessons through his death, burial, and resurrection. He showed us great leadership. Great transformation requires great sacrifice. And Mr. President, no one has paid the price like you have paid the price. It almost cost you your life. You were betrayed and arrested and falsely accused. It's a familiar pattern that our Lord and Savior showed us. But it didn't end there for him, and it didn't end there for you. God always had a plan. On the third day, he rose, he defeated evil, he conquered death, hell, and the grave. And because he rose, we all know that we can rise. And sir, because of his resurrection, you rose up. Because he was victorious, you were victorious. And I believe that the Lord said to tell you this. Because of his victory, you will be victorious in all you put your hand to. Amen. Because God is with you and God is using you to defeat evil, to restore families, to awaken the church, to harvest the nations, and to bring a worldwide revival. So I'm going to ask something. Would you all stand and just, if you're comfortable, stretch your hand towards our president? And even if Reverend Graham.
Lady, you gave someone else a resurrection, and he plotted it between your skanky thighs, man.
Yeah. It's truly disgusting is what it is. I find it truly disgusting, especially taking what I said and twisting it. Zero comments. Lindbergh baby was a Mandela effect. Now the baby was found about 2 months later. The Skinner box is reactivated. Now, again, I'm fucking disgusted about that whole goddamn thing with what this chick fucking said, fucking Paula White. Because this is blatant manipulation of American Christians and Christians around the world to push this pro-Zionist narrative. And Jones pointed out after the fact that this is evident manipulation, but doesn't know if Trump is part of that. But I would argue that he is, because he himself is for the pro-Israel narrative. He himself has stated that he wants the Epstein thing shut down, which is connected to Israel in many regards. Epstein having been a Mossad operative and all that, and an agent working for Israel. And all these people, the Trump administration, the FBI, Department of Justice, Toilet Paper USA, all opposing any further investigation of Charlie Kirk's death, pushing an Israel first, America last narrative, as far as I'm concerned. And with Toilet Paper USA at the front, pushing that narrative and denouncing any investigation into the Kirk murder and anybody who dissents against the Israel first narrative. Now, there are churches out there who are speaking out against this, and I've got one such example here. I'll go ahead and show that for you guys here.
You'd better give up any hope you have on political salvation. Anytime I hear Christians debating politics, I know that they don't know their Bible. Because if you knew Bible prophecy, you'd know that they're all corrupt. Thank you for all of those amens. Revelation chapter 13 is very clear that all of the nations of the world and all of the political leaders of the world are moving very quickly towards the promotion of a one world leader. You'd better give up.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean that's very much the case here. Because they're pushing for that one world government. And we've talked about it many times, Reverend, that Trump may have been on the populist bandwagon, having rode in on that wave, but whether or not he was legitimate or whether or not he's turned heel, we don't know. But the past 8 months, evidently, ever since that falling out with he and Musk, it's just been a total 180 and just one disaster after another, one problem after another, one bad move after another. And, that pastor, he talks about people who talk about politics don't know their Bible. Well, the two are kind of going hand in hand. We're essentially seeing biblical prophecy play out before our eyes, whether that be God's plan or these sociopaths are just using that as their blueprint or whatever. We're seeing revelations play out before our eyes, in one capacity or another. This is what they want. They want a one world government. They want a one world dictatorship. They want basically what we've seen in Divergent and the Hunger Games and shit like that. That's what they want. So we need to talk about it because these things are playing out right before our eyes. But we need to not be ignorant to what it is, which is these governments using the Bible as a playbook and as a weapon against the people. And effectively fulfilling biblical prophecy, even if they're just using it as a play-by-play.
Yeah. It's a manipulation. Like I said, I talked about the issue with the thing with Greenland and Venezuela and Iran and Cuba. It's all a distraction after the distraction away from the Epstein files.
Well, it's not just the Epstein files. It's just blatant. It's like, okay, they don't give a shit about the Epstein files. They're not going to do anything with the Epstein files. We're going to go over here and we're going to fuck this shit up. We're going to go do this thing because Trump is essentially turned into George Bush going, I'm the decider. Cuckoo, And, everybody wants to hold on to the idea that Trump can turn around. And I hope that he can. But if you want to put this in a biblical context, we need to focus on politics and we need to focus on the reality of what's happening. And we need to push back and speak out against these things, because we're not fighting against people. This is not a physical battle. This is the fight for the American soul. This is the fight for the souls of our leaders and the people as a whole. Okay, yeah. Because if we can reach the hearts of these people, because there are some good people, we all have free agency. We're all people. We're all capable of great good or great evil. But if we can appeal to the heart of many of these people, we stand a chance of turning this around. That's how you fight back, is fighting for the heart and soul of our fellow men and exposing the truth and getting people to course correct.
It's like a lyric to a song by The Who. It's the new boss, same as the old boss.
Yeah. That's exactly correct. And my God, like it really pisses me off, because so many people want to ignore the reality of what's happening, but the signs are literally everywhere. I mean, this picture here is a great fucking illustration of that point. The signs are literally everywhere. It's in our fucking face, man. It's like, fuck.
Yeah.
Yeah. Brain hurty.
If Hawaii was still an island and not a state, would be fine.
Yeah.
Hawaii was a monarchy too, so I mean, it was like a but it was the greedy white man that wait, the greedy white industrialist that took over the island and made it a state.
It is, and I've got some videos I want to share with you guys here. I got 3 segments of Trump and Lindsey Graham, and just really illustrates the point of how far we have fallen. Now, Trump said he wasn't going to fuck with Medicaid or Medi-Cal or any of that shit, but then he turns around and does this the other day, completely shooting himself in the foot and effectively handing the midterms to the Democrats. Check this out.
The United States can't take care of daycare. That has to be up to a state. We can't take care of daycare. We're a big country. We have 50 states. We have all these other people. We're fighting wars. We can't take care of daycare. You got to let a state take care of daycare, and they should pay for it too. They should pay. They have to raise their taxes, but they should pay for it. And we could lower our taxes a little bit to them to make up for, but it's not possible for us to take care of daycare. Medicaid, Medicare, all these individual things, they can do it on a state basis. You can't do it on a federal. We have to take care of one thing: military protection.
Okay, I've got some caveats with that. First of all, didn't he campaign on the idea of no taxes and getting rid of taxes? Now he's talking about states need to raise their taxes on people. I mean, come on, that's kind of a double standard. He said he wasn't going to fuck with.
It is double standard because George H.W. Bush said it when he ran for president in 89.
Yeah.
88.
Yeah. And he's George Bush.
Oh, no taxes. Come on, man. They say that, but to get they lie about no new taxes, but what happened?
Yeah.
They raised taxes, right?
Yeah, and there are some states like here in Tennessee that don't have a state tax. So you're probably going to have to impose a state tax, or you're going to have to increase sales tax. But, I mean, it's really hitting people hard. And Trump goes and talks about, being loyal to people who are nice to him, even if they're evil people. I mean, this is what we're dealing with here. He has become so disconnected from the people and the populist base. It's ridiculous.
Say it again. Of what he said? Of what he said?
Oh, I'll just play it for you. Here, look. He said it himself.
He gets along. I agree. He gets along with people. I get that. You have to get along to get the job done. But the thing is, you have to be careful on who you get along with, because
be careful who you get in bed with, because you might get in bed with a snake. Yeah, but here's the full quote. Here it is, him word for word. Talking about, I believe it's Mike Huckabee. Let me double check. Mark Levin. And he's talking about Mark Levin here.
This was not part of what I wanted to do, but we've done it, I guess, through sheer force of personality. We have a regime change like nobody thought was possible. They said, "What do you mean you have regime change?" My friend, great show. I love this guy. He's so nice to me. Every time I watch, and I appreciate. We're not supposed to be seduced that way, right? But I am. When somebody's nice to me, I love that person. Even if they're bad people, I couldn't care less. I'll fight to the end for them. So I appreciate it. But I want to see no nuclear weapon, but we also won regime changes.
Yeah, I mean, Caesar's friends were nice to him, and then they stabbed him to death, stabbed him in the back, and killed him.
Exactly.
I mean, so you got to be careful who you align yourself with, okay? The Democrats were nice to Trump, too, and then they turned on him. Okay, the people that he made a deal with to suppress the Epstein files the first time around were nice to him, and then they turned on him. I mean, you'd think this guy would learn from his mistakes, that a snake is a snake is a snake. It's like the story of the frog and the scorpion. The scorpion wants to get across the river, but can't. So it asks the frog, "Hey, can I ride on your back and to the other side of the river?" The frog's like, "No, you'll sting me and I'll die." He goes, "No, I won't. I promise. I promise." So the frog buys into it, and the scorpion gets on the frog's back. The frog starts to take him across the river, and then the scorpion stings him, and the frog loses strength and starts to sink into the water, and they're both gonna fucking drown. And the frog goes, "Why'd you do that? You promised that you wouldn't." And the scorpion says, "I'm a scorpion. It's in my nature." So the fact that Trump is doing this, especially at his age and with all the experience that he has, you'd think he'd know better. But at this point, it's very well evident that the leaders of the United States are President Bibi Netanyahu and Vice President Mark Levin. I mean, there's no other way to put it. They're the ones in power here.
Two of his sons own a drone interceptor company. They own a drone interceptor business.
Yeah. I mean, that's not necessarily a bad thing, especially the way drones have been used in the past and could be used in present time in the future.
It may be a good thing, but the thing is, if you sell it to the wrong hands.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you look at the war in Iran right now. I mean, and Lindsey Graham, he's loving it. This motherfucker is practically creaming his pants. Check this shit.
I want to see no nuclear weapon, but we also won regime change. They said,
I take it, he's going to blow up everything they got. So well done, Mr. President. Well done to our military. I'm very happy tonight.
Okay, and it is wrapping up. But the president did highlight that this was really a far more imminent threat than people perhaps knew.
Yeah. Dude's got a major fucking boner right now, dude.
Here's a guy who smiles even when he's fucking his own dog, man. Holy crap.
Oh, even worse, dude. You heard about the Disneyland? You heard about Disney World, right?
Yeah.
Motherfucker running around with a princess wand around Disney World for like 3 days, following little girls around. Dude's a fucking creep. Like, I don't know why somebody who kicked Epstein out of Mar-a-Lago and turned him into the FBI, regardless of how nice he was to Trump, is now buddy with some of the greatest evils that we've seen in modern times.
Yeah.
It's truly mind-boggling. And I cannot for the life of me understand why these people, why Trump would want to align himself with such sycophants. I got another video here. I'm going to go back to this file here, and I'm just going to play the full 2 minutes of it because it's just sick. This is what we're dealing with, ladies and gentlemen. This is what needs to be stopped.
Website, here it is.
Jesus taught us so many lessons through his death, burial, and resurrection. He showed us great leadership. Great transformation requires great sacrifice. And Mr. President, no one has paid the price like you have paid the price. It almost cost you your life. You were betrayed and arrested and falsely accused. It's a familiar pattern that our Lord and Savior showed us. But it didn't end there for him, and it didn't end there for you. God always had a plan. On the third day, he rose, he defeated evil, he conquered death, hell, and the grave. And because he rose, we all know that we can rise. And sir, because of his resurrection, you rose up. Because he was victorious, you were victorious. And I believe that the Lord said to tell you this. Because of his victory, you will be victorious in all you put your hand to. Amen. Because God is with you and God is using you to defeat evil, to restore families, to awaken the church, to harvest the nations, and to bring a worldwide revival. So I'm going to ask something. Would you all stand and just, if you're comfortable, stretch your hand towards our president? And even if Reverend Graham, you'd like to lay hands on him, and Pastor Robert, and just come in agreement with me. For 2 Chronicles 7:14 declares, if my people who are called by my name will humble themselves and pray, then I will hear from heaven and forgive their sins and heal their land.
Yeah, this wasn't orchestrated.
So today we humble ourselves and we say, Lord Jesus, you declared in Proverbs 14:34 that it said the righteousness exalts a nation. So we declare righteousness over America.
Well, in my view, and I'm not going to judge people's faith, and I love hearing Christ being talked about. I think this is a manipulation of American Christians. Website, here it is.
Jesus taught us so much.
Yeah. And I got to wholeheartedly agree. This is a manipulation, and it's sick.
Paula White, you dumb bitch. Here's the thing. Jesus Christ never attempted to say, I want Greenland. I want Greenland. No. He didn't have Maduro removed from his country against orders. He didn't go along with babysitting Bluehoo to invade Iran. It's not a war, it's an invasion. It's an invasion to an attempt to do
regime change.
Yeah. And now, Paul White, Jesus Christ didn't block ships from sending Cuba oil because they're in a bad place.
Yeah, I mean, you can say that anything you want about what might happen in the end times when Christ returns and it's wartime. But, you know, looking at Trump in contrast to Jesus Christ, okay? Christ made the promises in the Old Testament. Christ came. He didn't break his promises. He fulfilled all those prophecies, all those promises.
Yeah.
He fulfilled every single one of them. And he didn't involve himself in the politics of the time and start violent uprisings and whatnot, even though that's what many of his followers wanted him to do. That's why Peter had a sword. That's why Judas betrayed Jesus, because they thought that Jesus was some great liberator like Samson or David, you know, some great warrior that was going to liberate them of their enemies, even though the Old Testament says nothing up to that effect. It's a deliberate misinterpretation. They're looking for another Samson and a Messiah. And the Messiah was something bigger. And
exactly, man.
And now you got all this other stuff going on. Like I have gotten myself in some shit the other day. I don't know if you saw it, but I've been a bad little monkey.
I want to say this real quick.
Sure.
And I hate to say it.
No, you don't.
Trump is going to end up handing over basically handing the midterm to the Democrats again.
Yes. And
because,
what he's effectively doing is treason. But go ahead.
Okay, for example, I mentioned this a few times. Greenland, okay, that should be left alone. Number one. Number two, he should have gone to Congress to deal with the Maduro issue here.
Yeah.
But he didn't do it.
He should have done a lot of things that he's not been doing. And he should not be aligned. None of our governments should be aligned with a foreign power.
Now
you're looking at it. You're looking at it right here. 18 USC 2381 treason. Whoever owing allegiance to the United States levies war against them or adheres to their enemies, giving them aid and comfort within the United States or elsewhere is guilty of treason and shall suffer death or shall be imprisoned not less than 5 years and fined under the title, but not less than $10,000 in fines, and shall be incapable of holding any office under the United States. I mean, that in and of itself, just the fact that we are aligned with Israel and allowing them to meddle in our government and have influence over our foreign and domestic policy is absolutely disgusting.
And not to stat,
words about it.
Also, Cuba. Okay, now look. 59 is when the embargo was placed.
Yes.
It was never lifted. Never lifted. Okay, it's been 65 years, 66 years or so. And it's showing the wear and tear on the country. 2 or 3 nationwide blackouts. And I mentioned this was it last week or so? I think if anybody knows electricity, engineering, all that shit, go to Cuba. Help them out from the shadows, man.
Yeah.
Mexico can still send oil under Trump's nose. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Russia was lucky enough to send a ship to dock in Cuba, minus the blockage. You know, but the thing is, Trump should have removed the blockage. That violates international law, trade. Okay.
Yes.
And he's doing it on behalf of his oil baron buddies, man. You know, that shit.
Yeah. It's like the saying goes, it takes money to get elected. And where does all the money come from? These NGOs, these private contractors and whatnot. At which point, even if they start out loyal to the American people, they're then indebted to their benefactors. And even before Trump ran for president, he had numerous bankruptcies. Who bailed him out? J.P. Morgan. So now he's indebted to the globalist banking cartels. Okay? How long did you think it was going to last, this notion that he was coming in on the populist wave and it was going to be the second American Revolution or the Great American Renaissance of the modern age? I mean, the signs were there. Whether we want to admit it or not, the signs were there.
Exactly.
And now, go ahead, sir. Go ahead.
I do agree on a lot of this stuff, because the thing is, I know that there's people out there that do want to wake up, and there's some that don't know how to wake up.
Mostly what it is fear. What people are experiencing, they lean to these classic tropes of Republican versus Democrat, because the idea of a global tyrannical system, a shadow government, revelations, end time prophecy, or the prospect of what we were sold happened in World War II and the Holocaust happening again. Things like the Hunger Games and all of that, or even crazy things like UFO invasions, which is the UFO declassification thing that's on the horizon now. Okay? All this shit is very, very scary, and a lot of people aren't ready to handle that. There's a lot of people, and I know there are people even in my own circle, I know people that even just the thought of discussing this shit terrifies them. It's way too much. And I can understand that there are some people in the world that just are not able to handle it. Okay. There are things that are bigger and heavier than they can carry. I can understand that. We all have our limits, and this just happens to be the limit of a lot of these people, unfortunately.
Roswell 47, Kecksburg 65.
Yeah.
Phoenix 97.
Yeah.
What's funny, the military says those were flares.
Well,
time out. The people of Arizona, they know what they saw. They know what they saw.
Yes, absolutely.
Flares don't stay up there. Like if you shoot a flare, it's knowledge.
Yeah, these things don't just dart around.
They go up and they do an arc and they fall down. These were lights in a triangle singlet position. It was a fucking ship. The people of Arizona know what they saw. And the military saying those were flares. Dude, do you look in the mirror and call yourself a dumb shit every now and then? I bet you do. Because flares don't do that. Okay?
No,
people are starting to recognize that we love our military. Okay, we do. But they got some dumb shits trying like, that was a flare. See?
Right.
No, the people saw Roswell 47, Kecksburg 65, Phoenix 97. The governor at the time was a stupid son of a bitch. Ladies and gentlemen, we got him.
Yep.
The guy in the fucking alien costume. That what killed his reelection.
Yeah.
Stupid fuck. You know? The people, they know what they saw.
They did. I got a little tidbit here. I just pulled it up from Jones's show yesterday.
Okay.
You might find this interesting. I know Zero would, because I know Zero absolutely loves this kind of shit.
If you go deep into it, you're going to find the Atlantean explanation for so much.
No, I agree with you. That it is actually a real breakaway civilization. The globalists say they're going to create high-tech reservations, keep us like animals at an agrarian level, and that the Earth will just be like a nature preserve, as Jeff Bezos said. Well, that already happened. I agree. They're humanoid, whatever. It's breakaway humans. That's what most people I talk to say it is, that basically are now use us as a form of entertainment or body parts, or they still need the old to control the new, or there's some fetish keeping us around. But this isn't aliens. This is what we hear about with all the ancient cultures, going back to all the ancient texts. Is that what you're saying?
Absolutely. And when you think about it, the people who are very serious on these subjects, like John Mack, who I got a chance to know, he was over here at Harvard as a professor, as a tenured professor, and they went after him easily. He died maybe about 10 years ago, but he had this incredible background, and he went into this subject, and he got attacked for it. And it was interesting. When I talked to him, he said, well, it's nothing at all like we understand, because when the people get abducted in these experiences, they go through things. It's not like they get put into a ship and grabbed and dragged along. They go through walls. So there's a whole different dynamics. There's a whole different physics that's involved here. This is the apotheum. This is the physical reality distortion physics that goes along with this. That's the problem.
But this goes back to the Epic of Gilgamesh, Sumeria. It all describes this. So does the Old Testament, so the Egyptians. So you hear all this new stuff, but it's in all the ancient texts. So clearly, this isn't just modern propaganda. They're trying to spin it. There's something else going on.
Yeah, basically what he's alluding to is
go
that...
Go back again.
You want me to pick it back up?
Don't play it. Just pause it.
Okay. What are we looking at here?
Guy's hair.
What about him?
Did he put his dick in a light socket?
Oh, come on, man. Here I am trying to have a conversation. You're talking about sticking your dick in a light socket. Fucking oh, man. I love you to death, brother, but I gotta ask one simple question.
Yeah, why did he put his dick in the light socket?
Well, here's my thing. What they're talking about is all these ancient cultures, the Sumerians, the Aztecs, Mayans, Egyptians, all these ancient cultures, all these ancient theologies, the stories of the Anunnaki and all this, they all coincide with Genesis. And we already know about things being taken out of the Bible, like the Book of Enoch and the rest of the biblical Apocrypha, that don't exactly line up with a spiritual narrative. But I've talked about this many times, that what we understand as spiritualism and magic and supernatural shit is nothing more than a level of science that we have yet to understand. It'd be like if you ever seen the movie Hocus Pocus, where the kid holds up a lighter and lights the lighter in his hand, and the witches think that he's making fire in his hands, and then he sets off the fire extinguisher, and they think it's raining, and it's a burning rain of death. And he uses the headlights to trick the witches into thinking that the sun came up. because they don't understand the modern time that they're in, and think that technology and these most basic things like a lighter or headlights on a car are some form of magic.
Yeah.
It's the same thing. And all these cultures, you know, the Mayans, Incans, Aztecs, they all have a lot of these same stories. Like you think of Greek mythology, Hercules, biblical, the Bible, Samson. Okay.
The Egyptians are the Egyptians, the Aztecs, Mayans are very advanced, man. Like they talk about the pyramids, like, well, they were built for one thing, probably. Well, there's more than one thing. Yeah, it's a tomb, but the thing is, the way it was built on the inside, electricity.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, it was believed that these things were power plants, you know, or energy systems. And you talk about things like fucking Atlantis that had allegedly had energy systems and flying vehicles and all this other amazing technology. You talk about things like the Tartarian Empire. You hear the conspiracy theories surrounding that and the use of Zeppelins. That they were far more prominent before the advent of the airplane. And because of that one explosion, that was used to create a stigma to weed out the Zeppelin in favor of the airplane. I mean, you hear about these things all the time. And, you know, whether you believe that humanity is 6,000 years old, that's according to the Bible, or 10,000 or 100,000, you're going to say that we existed for X number of thousands of years, and only in the past 120 or so achieved technological advancement, or didn't have access to some sort of high-end technology and energy sources?
Got some here.
What do you got?
This is from
a massive and coordinated assault is shaking the Middle East tonight. Iran has unleashed one of its most intense missile barrages yet, and this time the battlefield stretches far beyond Israel alone. The Islamic Revolution Guards Corps has confirmed the launch of Wave 91. This is part of Operation True Promise 4, a rapidly escalating campaign. Heavy ballistic missiles and attack drones are now striking key targets. The primary focus is Israel's major urban centers. Tel Aviv and Haifa are at the heart of this offensive. According to Iranian claims, the impact has been immediate and severe.
Yeah. And it doesn't cost a lot to put these missiles together. It costs far more to build the interceptors to take down the missiles. The missiles are cheap to make, but the interceptors, those are way more costly. And that's where Israel and the United States seem to be having a lot of their problem. But I do have something that I would like to share that I want you to see, something that would really mind fuck you. It was actually coinciding with what you just showed. So, let me see if here we go.
So apparently Iran knocked out some satellites over the UAE. And right after that, a place that's been dealing with decades of drought suddenly gets thunderstorms. Just like that. Now, satellites are supposed to just observe the weather, right? Track storms, measure temperatures, collect data. But when the skies suddenly change the moment those satellites disappear, people start asking questions. Like, were they really just watching the climate? Or were they shaping it? Keeping certain regions dry, keeping pressure on water and crops. And the second those satellites are gone, the storms roll in. But hey, they wouldn't do that, right?
This is just a theory, not a fact.
And just
that's a good question, man.
Rather interesting.
That's a good question there, man. You know, good theory, good question. Hey, you know, I mean, that's why they did that HARP thing in Alaska. That was Tesla's design that they stole.
Yeah.
Because they thought, hey, let's take this shit after he dies, go in there. And who went in there? FBI.
Yep.
When did Edison die?
I don't know.
I can look.
Oh, I'll look. Just carry on with your thought.
Well, the thing is that, I mean, the whole HARP thing, that was Tesla's thing, but he wasn't going to have it done because he didn't want it to be a weapon against humanity, you know.
Yeah, and a lot of his tech was allegedly based off of tech, was inspired by the Tartarian Empire, apparently. And Edison apparently died in October 18th of 1931.
Okay, that would be about, because Tesla died of what, in 22?
Say again?
Tesla died in 22?
Let me see.
Or in the 40s? So some of the 40s, I mean.
January 7th, 1943.
Okay, 43. So he died 10 years after Edison did.
Yeah, give or take. Okay, so what are you getting at?
Well, I'm trying to think here because Edison didn't like Tesla very much.
No, because Edison wanted to capitalize on the energy market and Tesla wanted to make free energy systems. You know, kind of a contradicting.
Direct current was safer than AC.
Yeah.
Now, it'd be kind of nice if you had DC batteries, direct current batteries.
Mm-hmm.
Because what do you see? AC batteries.
Yeah. Yeah, you're really not going to see much in terms of direct current equipment. And, you know, most everybody knows about Tesla's projects and that they work. Nobody can deny that fact. But what I'm getting at is we have all these technologies and allegedly have accomplished all these things in ancient history. I mean, you look at the Tower of Babel in contrast to like space travel and even the buildings we have now, and God destroyed it. Why did God destroy a building? Oh, because it was too close to heaven? No, we've allegedly gone to space. We've made buildings. Buildings exist that dwarf the Tower of Babel. Okay? Many people would argue that the Tower of Babel was a overly extravagant Stargate, wrought with rituals and whatnot that opened a doorway to the spiritual realm. And a lot of theologians argue that the reason that all these cultures around the world, despite having never known each other, have such similar experiences and similar stories, you know, like the Aztecs, Mayans, Native Americans, Egyptians, having similarities to the Genesis story and other subsequent stories that take place in the Old Testament, you know, like Samson in contrast to Hercules and other ideas, that there is a basis of truth in that somehow, some way, whether by divine or nefarious forces, were exposed to these histories, to these theologies, and subsequent technologies. Like you were talking about the pyramids of Giza. they were taught forbidden knowledge, just like it talks about in Genesis and the book of Enoch, how the watchers came down and taught man forbidden knowledge, technology, fire, weapons building, war, manipulation,
they did find a battery in Iraq.
dark ritualistic arts, so on and so forth.
They did find a battery, a big battery in caves in Iraq.
Yeah.
Very, very interesting, you know.
Didn't they allegedly find a Stargate in Iraq as well?
Yeah.
And that was one of the reasons why we kept going back to Iraq, was to gain control of this thing.
Yeah. There's many Stargates, and the one they found was in Iraq.
Yeah.
And the war in Iraq was just a ruse to take Stargate.
Yeah. Well, check this out.
Any kind of technology that any country has but didn't know about, but discovered, but kind of want to keep it hush hush out of evil hands, it don't matter. It will get found. It will get taken over by the United States.
Yeah.
Why? Because you have people with big money, deep pockets, and don't give a fuck about humanity. They want to take away every resource, every unknown technology known to man for centuries. Why? It's about immortality.
And it's about power, control, immortality, and just an overall overarching objective. I mean, these people aren't even really about immortality anymore. They're about putting their brains in a computer and just preserving the consciousness and allowing humanity to die, and allowing robots and artificial intelligence to take over and run the earth.
It's called, ladies and gentlemen, that's called transhumanism.
Yeah, it's called the ideas of genocidal madmen. And I talk about this stuff all the time. And we have the recent space shuttle launch by NASA. And I called this out, and I did a special broadcast about it the other night.
Too.
Yeah. Check this out. I got so much fucking shit for this.
I saw that, and I was like, you know what? They're going to the moon.
Yeah. Well, I mean, look at this. It's still going. Just 22 minutes ago. I'm getting so much shit for this simple comment. Why orbit around the Earth twice, then go to the moon just to go around it? Seems like a big waste to me. I mean, if you're going to the moon, then go to the moon. Land on it, do something, then come home having actually accomplished something, rather than waste billions in American taxpayer dollars to prove we can do what we said we did in 57 years ago, in a desperate bid to remain relevant and a practical use of taxpayer money. Seriously, if this is all we're doing, who do I need to talk to? Who do we need to talk to about getting a refund? And for 3 days, just an onslaught. And, you know, whether you agree with what I'm talking about or not, it begs the question, why am I getting so much heat? If I'm an idiot, just ignore me. Just run on with your day. But we have an endless parade of attacks. And why? It begs the question, why? Okay, because words have power and words retain their power. And obviously what I said was a fucking threat. Because why are we going to war when we're on the why are we going to the moon when we are on the verge of an economic collapse? Why are we spending billions of dollars, giving this agency billions of dollars to rebuild the technology that they say they lost, the cornerstone of their business? They claim they destroyed this technology. They destroyed the cornerstone, the technology that was cornerstone of their business, and the greatest human achievement that has allegedly occurred in human history, and they say they destroyed it. And then you had these astronauts coming out saying that they that we're finally going to the moon. This is a huge feat. You know, basically saying the quiet part out loud that we had never been to the moon before and that the moon landing was fake. At which point, why have we been giving?
My question: who's directing this footage? This film?
Well, I'm gonna get to that.
Stanley Kubrick's dead, folks.
Mm-hmm. But I'll get to that in a minute because you bring up a very good point. I got some shit I want to show you.
He's been dead since Eyes Wide Shut.
Yeah, but check this out. We allegedly went to the moon in the 1960s. This organization was formed in the 1960s. Where's all this money been going? Where's all that money that we've been giving them for decades been going? Explain to me.
Who went to space first? Russia did.
Apparently none of us could actually make it to the moon, and we're the ones that faked the moon landing and got Russia to back down. That's the conspiracy theory. Whether that's true or not, I don't know. I wasn't there. I wasn't alive in '69. If I would have been, I would have been at Woodstock, high as a fucking kite, getting my dick sucked by every beautiful female that would cross my path. I ain't gonna lie, that's what I would be doing. Yeah. Yeah, but you know, we allegedly went to the moon, and even then, you know, there was a lot of time between space travel, and yet NASA takes in billions of dollars and then focuses on space exploration, and then allegedly loses or destroys the technology that was the current cornerstone of their business and the greatest scientific achievement in human history. I can't buy that. And now
I don't think they destroyed it. I think they kind of put it on hold.
They probably did, and that's provided they actually went to the moon in the first place. At which point they never had the technology. At which point, oh well, we destroyed it. Okay, wherein they probably never had it to begin with. If you believe the story that we never actually made it to the moon,
I think they kept it because they needed it as a wall card. Okay, no.
But they said they said they destroyed it because so many people are arguing that we never went to the moon, and then NASA says, "Oh well, we don't have the technology to go to the moon anymore because we destroyed it." That's why they couldn't go and rescue those astronauts on the space station. Why Elon Musk slapped together that rocket, went up there, rescued the people, and then brought that same rocket back down, and it was grabbed by an arm and then settled back down in a smooth landing. Okay, he slapped that together in a matter of weeks, and yet this project is going to take years. Even just now, look how long it took them just to put this launch together, to just circle the Earth twice and then do a figure eight around the moon and come back. Look how long it took them to get that shit together after Elon Musk did what he did in a matter of weeks. NASA must be fucking embarrassed.
They should be.
And yet I'm being attacked. And here's what's interesting. Check this out. And this is what I was getting to.
Look. Yup, that is exactly what you think it is. A zip line taking the astronauts off of the rocket right before it goes up and flies straight up and then down and lands in the ocean because they're not actually going to space. Good roll pitch. Because it's not real like you know it. There's a reason why the first moon mission since 1969 took place on April 1st of all days. It's because it wasn't even happening in the first place, because they cannot go to the moon, and they've never been able to go to the moon. The rocket flies up and then it falls straight down to the ocean. And the zip line took those astronauts straight off. That's why we didn't see them on the live stream at all. We just saw the crappy CGI picture of the rocket flying nowhere. We didn't even see the astronauts in the cockpit. It's ridiculous. If Richard Nixon could call with a landline phone all the way up to the moon in 1969, why can't we have a live stream of them in the cockpit while it was even on the ground? Because that didn't even show up at all. We didn't even see them before they launched on the ground inside the ship at all.
Exactly.
Check out this one. Let me show you this next one.
So at first I thought this was fake, like some meme that someone was doing. And no, it's very real. I was in such disbelief that I even asked chat if it was real. And chat says, oh yes, it's real. But I'm going to show you the video that NASA has released. And I just want you to notice how it looks completely fake. How it curves, always curves. They always show a cut to. They never show a live stream from point A to point B. They're not even showing it now. It's just whatever they want to show you and then it's done. And they quite literally show you a CGI cartoon. And the people are nowhere near it. They don't even know if this thing is even real that they're watching. Have you ever been to a fireworks show? Have you ever been to an air show? Do you even realize the capability our government has to make things look real? And they are not. Just wanted to throw that one in there.
Okay, that was funny.
And liftoff. The crew of Artemis II now bound for the moon. Humanity's next great voyage begins.
Good roll pitch. Roger, roll pitch.
Houston now controlling the flight of Integrity on the Artemis II mission around the moon.
Integrity, AMT high.
On time, passing 30 seconds into the flights. Integrity passes the alternate MECO. Target milestone. Mission Control Houston seeing good performance on the main engines. Space Launch System core stage. Integrity, 3 miles in altitude. Traveling more than 1,200 miles per hour. Mission elapsed time, passing 1 minute, approaching max Q.
On, pump fully on. Stan, we have you loud and clear on pump fully on. Have you the same?
Communication signal transfer confirmed as Integrity and its crew go supersonic. Approaching 90 seconds into the Artemis II mission. Integrity is 14 miles in altitude, 8 miles downrange, traveling more than 2,600 miles per hour.
Yeah, that doesn't look like it's going up or going off into the distance.
1 minute, 50 seconds of mission
that looks
elapsed
like it's
time.
going
Standing
up,
by for main engine throttle
tilting,
down
and
to
going
85%.
back, now going back down.
Ahead of solid booster separation expected at the 2 minute, 9 second mark. We see throttle
Now, you can
down.
argue the curvature of the Earth, but even the curvature of the Earth isn't going to show
Separation. Main engine's throttling up. Guidance converged.
So that thing arcing like that.
Yeah.
Because if you're looking straight up and the rocket's going straight up in front of you, you should see that thing continuing to go straight up. And if it faces a curvature, it's going to face a curvature going away from you, not veering off to the side.
Integrity, SM priming complete. SM priming complete.
2 minutes, 45 seconds of mission elapsed time into the Artemis II mission. Thrusters on Integrity and upper stage confirmed in a ready state ahead of service module fairing separation.
Yeah, and why does
3
it
minutes
always
into
veer
that, we are
off in the
gathering
same
ourselves
direction
here
rather
in the
than any other given
studio
direction?
for what was very close to an on-time launch and a very impressive one. 3 miles away is the building where we're sitting, and the sound and then the wave of power, the disturbance just in the atmosphere hit us, and it felt like an earthquake. Everything was rattling, the windows, the ceilings. The power was unbelievable.
Yeah, it's really something. You know, I missed that from the shuttle program because the shuttle was very similar. Same type boosters, same type engines. But this rocket has even more power. Definitely more of an earthquake, no question.
I guess I'm so used to scrub this, weather that, didn't work out, and this is the first one I've been live for, and I guess I'm a good luck charm because it went off pretty well.
Good job.
Yeah, well, no great future.
Good job.
Wasn't prepared for that. Wow. It's amazing. So we've seen some technical milestones happen that are very encouraging. Bill, can you walk us through that?
Yeah, just a few moments ago, you could see some little sparkles coming away from the light of those engines. That was these panels on the service module just below the Orion capsule that are designed to come away in flight, and they did, right on schedule. No, this is just a drive to orbit now. It's these main engines are going to push this all the way to its initial orbit, and then the Orion and its upper stage will separate to fly on their own. But this is going like clockwork so far. On the telemetry, you can see this is an infrared camera view, but the telemetry you can see up in the right-hand corner shows you the velocity and the altitude right now. And as you can see, that velocity number really climbing. They are accelerating. Because think about it, Tony, as you consume propellant, you're losing weight, but the engines have the same thrust. So you go faster and faster and faster.
Mm-hmm.
And the G-forces on the crew are building up during this time frame as well. And actually the engines, because they're throttleable, will actually throttle down as they reach the altitude to orbit to reduce the G-forces on the crew. And they'll hold around for less than 5.
So they're now at 74 miles from Earth. Mm-hmm. So that is over the line. We can say they're in space now, or do you count it at 100 plus?
No, that 62 miles is
62,
typically
right?
where
Yeah.
yeah.
And Reed Weissman just said a minute ago, they could see the moonrise. He said, I could see a beautiful moonrise out the window.
Amazing.
They're high enough to see it, even though it's below our horizon.
That's an
Pretty
amazing
cool.
detail. It's an amazing detail. You know, I remember in 1969 when CBS covered the moon launch, the day after, this was in a documentary recently, the Flat Earth Society of the UK reconsidered their position. I wonder if any minds have been turned towards science this morning, Bill. I thought about that as you talk about the moon over the horizon, but viewable from where they are. It's an amazing thing.
Yeah, another milestone they've reached is what they call 3-engine press. In other words, even if one of their main engines failed at this point, they can still conduct a normal mission by just burning the other 3 engines a little longer. That's another major milestone.
And they are going to low Earth orbit.
Well, actually, it's an elliptical orbit.
It's an elliptical
orbit. It's low on one side, but it's a little bit high on the other. It's up around 1,300
Yeah, I mean,
miles.
you could tell that. It was right
Yeah.
there. It's fake as fuck.
Yeah. To get around to that point, they're going to fire their engines to raise the low point, to get it a little bit more. Right now, the low point's about 17 miles, so they're definitely going to fire an engine to raise that up here shortly.
Yeah. But now that they're up there, their time is now being tracked moment to moment. Mike, we were talking earlier, you say there's a phenomenon of chasing the red line, right? You've got your schedule mapped out with such precision, and you make sure moment to moment you're keeping up with it. Can you talk about that?
Yeah, that's absolutely right, particularly on a mission like this where it's such a short duration, right? We're only talking 10 days. And so as you can imagine, the controllers, the planners, they want to take advantage of every moment of this mission. And so they're going to have their days lined up in 5-minute increments, 1-minute increments. And so they're going to be, as we say, chasing that red.
So they said that rocket was cruising at over 2,000 miles per hour. Didn't look like it to me at all. This thing, if you've ever been to an air show, jets are extremely fast. Secondly, did you notice how they dropped the Flat Earth Society of the UK? Did you guys catch that? Also, the Flat Earth Society is brought on for propaganda. No true flat earther even promotes the Flat Earth Society. And they never showed us point A to point B. They did show a little view of the Earth, and you can tell that the Earth was not moving. And I'm just showing this picture again because why not? Like, why, with all these millions of dollars that they get per day, do they not show us a continuous live stream of the event without the cut twos? That's because they can't prove something that's false. Pull it up on the internet. It'll show you this lie. To lift to carry. They're missing something up there, though. Notice the dash is above the A and the S and the A. Look at this number. Same number, beguiled. Same number, deceived. Same number, deceive. It's time to wake up. Literal cartoon. So at first...
Yeah. But yet, I've triggered a shit ton of backlash from people. Like I said, that followed me for like 3 days, and I'm just laughing my fucking ass off. I mean, you see, it just goes on and on and on and on and on.
Yeah.
Like, who cares what one lone person thinks, but yet it triggered all this backlash. Why? Because I challenge critical thinking. And I encourage people to go critical thinking.
Exactly.
And critical thinking is a threat. And you see these images of this shuttle and the astronauts allegedly being taken off, and this thing looking like a giant balloon, this thing being a giant balloon, and all this other shit. And we're sitting there and told, oh, this is an equipment test. They're testing the equipment to make sure that everybody's safe for the next launch in 2028. And why the fuck are you putting real people on there? You've got real people going up to make sure that people don't die. It's like, okay, I'm going to call an essential suicide mission.
We've had 2 footages a few years ago with Jeff Bezos. He did something, but he actually did it.
Yeah.
But it was only not even outer space, but just above the Earth a little bit, and people were there. And who else did it? Richard Branson.
Yeah, and he shot footage in real time. You know, everything was documented and provable. But I'm happy to laugh because so many people are saying, oh, well, this is to test the equipment to make sure that everybody's going to be safe when they go to the moon. Then why are you putting people on the goddamn thing now? That's like saying, okay, we need to test this bulletproof vest to make sure that it's safe and effective and will stop a bullet. So here, put this bulletproof vest on, and I'm going to shoot you and see if this bulletproof vest actually works. That is, rather than put it on a dummy and then test it. That is so insanely stupid.
Or how about this? Take an 84 Pontiac Fiero and make it into a ship.
Yeah. Or you know, like you remember in the 90s, the crash dummies in the cars and how they do the crash test and they'd have the dummies. That's like taking the dummy out and having an actual person sit in the car. It's like, okay, we need to test this car's safety features. So let's put an actual human being in and crash the car with them in it. It's like,
yeah.
How fucking stupid can you be?
Exactly, man.
And then sit there and say, oh, well, they need to go around the Earth twice to use the Earth's gravity to slingshot them into space. Okay? Gravity pulls stuff down. It doesn't slingshot. Okay? That's basic physics. And if you want to talk about physics, simple jet propulsion systems. Okay? You have to use jet propulsion systems to keep the shuttle from falling back and getting sucked into the upper atmosphere and crashing back down to Earth. So why not just use that same amount of fuel to straight shot to the fucking moon, rather than use it to circumvent the Earth and circumnavigate the Earth for 2 days, navigating around all the space junk and satellites that we've got up there. It's like a fucking junkyard up there, allegedly. So we've got a shuttle that has to navigate all the fucking junk while avoiding getting pulled back down into the upper atmosphere and crashing back down into the Earth, rather than just using the same gas and propulsion to straight shot to the fucking moon. Oh, well, we need to line it up with where the moon's going to be. Okay, you could do the math on Earth. It's like, okay, you have a little thing called a calculator on your fucking phone. Okay, you can figure out where the Earth is going to be, and you can figure out what's the optimal time to launch to where you're going to fucking straight shot to, if you do a straight shot to the fucking moon, that you're going to intercept with the moon in conjunction with its orbit.
About satellites, they have.
I'm getting called an idiot. Yeah, I'm not the one who allegedly put people in a fucking rocket ship to test whether or not the life support systems would work. That's stupid.
Yeah, they got decommissioned satellites that are being used by hackers.
Mm-hmm.
And these are, I mean, you have some from France, Germany, Russia, us, of course.
Most of the key players, yeah.
And people are using the decommissioned satellites.
Mm-hmm.
And
because those things can be fired back up. Any foreign power could allegedly, in theory, go up there and swap out the power cores of these satellite systems, the power supplies. If there's a dead satellite in orbit, you can go up there and do maintenance on it, swap out the power supply, and reroute it to your servers. Bada bing, bada boom. You don't even have to go through the hassle of building a new satellite, spending billions of dollars to build and launch a new satellite. Well, you could just go up there, or have a team sitting up there in a space station with all this equipment and go, okay, hack this satellite over here, reactivate and repurpose this satellite over here. Now reactivate this one. Now reactivate that one. Now reactivate this one.
Or I have an idea. I love a good video game play here. Let me explain it. Watch Dogs 2. Okay, Watch Dogs 2 now.
Good movie.
It's a game.
Yeah, but wasn't there a movie about it too?
No.
What am I thinking of? Oh, I'm thinking Alpha Dogs. Fuck. Sorry. My bad.
You go in and you sneak into Galilee, which is aka SpaceX, and you go in and you sneak past these guards and shit, and you go in and you take a chip and you kind of tweak it a little bit and go along to the satellite, put this thing you created in there, boom. And what you're doing, you're going to bug a satellite.
Yeah. Now you figure you got people up there in these space stations, many of which have foreign powers allegedly have space stations up there. They can go and intercept with any given satellite and repurpose it, or even just go old junk satellites, fix them up on the space station, put in a new power supply, reroute it to where it's connected to their servers, and then relaunch.
Or put it in a new,
and that would save billions of money in building and launching new satellites, where you could just put a handful of people up there and repurpose and reconstitute old, already existing satellites.
Yeah. Or put it this way, make it neutral. Okay. And let me explain here.
Okay.
Since you got these decommissioned satellites, and if you want to really hot wire them and whatnot. Go up there, you know, put in new whatever chips, whatever you want to do it. Make it neutral so anybody can use the satellite.
There's an 80-foot satellite dish sticking out of your ass.
Sorry. Honestly, I think that'd be a bad idea because a lot of these satellites, I mean, if you made them universal connectivity, that presents a whole list of problems in and of itself. The ability to
let me explain though. The thing is,
if you have access to files that were on those computers, there's a lot of caveats to it.
Yeah, but you can still go in there, plug in a box, and remove all that shit, all that data on this box. Remove all that data, man. Remove all that shit, put it in a box, and take it home.
Yeah,
it's basically, we call it factory reset, pretty much, kind of thing in a way.
Yeah.
Make it neutral, but don't keep anything important on those satellites. Go in there, put in a new core, put in new chips. Where, I mean, you can use it on your phone. Like, dude, hey, whoa, yeah, whoa, you know. But
calm down, buddy.
But the whole idea of making it neutral is that anybody with a computer can tap into that. I mean, that could be, say, your own internet service there, satellite. You could piggyback off that. Boom.
Yeah.
Great.
But then if you open sourced it, you know, creeps could fucking spy in your bedroom, and then it's. Am I wrong? Am I wrong?
No, but
I mean, you probably already have people who are up in these agencies and NASA and who are doing this shit, fucking spying on their ex-girlfriends or whatever.
But you gotta think smart and careful about that anyway, too. I mean,
yeah, you do.
I want to see again. I love innovation. I think it's really cool to have a idea for something to build, to innovate. You know, again, I have a Battlefield UV5R. Okay, where again, the whole thing is, I want the people, even the ones living in the rural parts of the country, okay? Because you have some damn smart people there too.
You do.
And even people who are living in the middle of nowhere, off the grid, do the same thing.
Yeah.
But also, you have some that live like that, aren't very, who are inclined, who are very capable of being tech savvy, engineering savvy, who can do the shit and still live off grid and still tap into a satellite that's neutral.
Yeah, absolutely.
Get it to the people, because, hey, we don't want nothing to do with these. Look, we don't want nothing to do with government satellites. You give us one, remove your shit, remove all crap you don't want to lose, put it in the box, stay at home, take it to whatever, you understand. But, again, you know, you gotta think, okay, do we open source it, or do we pull an Apple or a Microsoft and keep it closed? I say open source it to a point where you could tap into it and create a network for people underground and abroad. But be careful about it because, be careful about it because, look, yes, we have white, black, and gray hat hackers, okay, in between. But also, tech savvy enough, it's smart enough. Look, what I'm saying is we need one too.
Yeah.
Okay. Look, we know satellites carry a lot of secrets that government has. We don't want your secrets. We don't care about your secrets.
We already know enough of your secrets, and nothing's being done about it now.
All I want is our own satellite, wiped clean, basically calling it factory reset. New core, new chips, the whole thing. Okay?
Okay.
And while you're at it, put a Guy Fawkes mask on the satellite dish.
You would.
Yeah, what?
You'd love a Guy Fawkes mask on the satellites. Well, here's my question. Shifting away from this idea of having a satellite of our own, as fun as that would be, let's look at the real world connotations of what's happening right now.
Okay.
We have this alleged space launch. We have a lot of criticism and skepticism regarding the space launch. Here's a question. Why the space launch? Why now? Is this an embarrassment because Elon Musk did what NASA couldn't in rescuing those stranded astronauts? Is this an attempt to save face? Is this an attempt to save face for NASA? Is this an attempt to save face for the President of the United States, given all of his fuck ups with the Epstein files and now this conflict with Iran and all the other issues that people have caveats with this guy? Is this an attempt to try to save face and sway voters to vote Republican in the midterms?
I think it's
and why?
both.
And why now? Why in the midst of this conflict that could lead
again
to an economic collapse? I mean, this is kind of ill-timed financially.
Again, the issues he has with Greenland, Venezuela, and his little fun with invading Iran. Ladies and gentlemen, the Iran war is not a war. It's an invasion that blew up in the face of Donald Trump and BB shit in your blues.
Yep.
And now, another fuck up for Trump is the blockade of Cuba. Now, Cuba has been stuck in the 50s for the last 60 plus years, okay?
Yeah, they've been stuck in the 50s since the 50s.
Look, the embargo needs to be removed, okay? That's my opinion there. I like to see it being lifted. Castro's fucking dead, okay?
Yeah.
He's dead.
It's like keeping NATO around. NATO was made to protect Europe and its allies against the Soviet Union. The Soviet Union's been gone for 30 years. For over 30 years. What the hell is NATO still doing here?
35 years, yeah. 35 years.
The goal was to get Russia away from China and turn them into a capitalist ally. And we've done the exact opposite. Why does NATO still exist? Why did we not do what we said we were going to do and make Russia a capitalist ally and get them away from China? And then subsequently dissolve NATO after the Berlin Wall fell. That makes no fucking sense.
And not just that, Trump wants to break up the BRICS system.
Yeah.
Brazil, Russia, India, China, South Africa. Now, those are the 5 founding countries of the system. Now you have Indonesia. You have a couple from the Gulf.
Yeah, because they want the Rothschilds and the globalist bankers who Trump is indebted with because JP Morgan bailed him out of his bankruptcies.
Mexico.
They want to have a monopoly on the banking system.
Mexico is part of the BRICS system.
Mm-hmm. You notice we have all these problems with countries that are involved with BRICS and not the globalist banking cartel. You notice that anytime somebody who is a part of the globalist system and uses the petrodollar, anytime they try to pull away from that, then it's all out war, just like what happened with Saddam Hussein. He tried to pull away from the petrodollar And that's when we went after his ass. It's an amazing coincidence.
It is, but it also violates international law too.
Yeah, but that's why you need excuses like,
country,
oh, they have weapons of mass destruction. Our resources tell us they have weapons of mass destruction. Then you find out decades later that the people that were feeding the intel was Israel, and they were lying their fucking asses off. Now, whether or not you support Israel or not, that's your prerogative. I'm not getting into that. But in terms of
has an oil reserve,
Israel told us that Iraq had weapons of mass destruction. We went in there; they couldn't even barely make soap. Okay, they didn't have weapons of mass destruction and could barely make fucking soap.
If any country,
right? Fact.
If any country that has an oil reserve, okay, they have every right to sell their oil to any currency they want. Whether it's in euros, pounds, yen, the Australian dollar, or any currency.
Yeah, that is their prerogative. But there are deals that are in place, and people want to break those deals, and that becomes problematic for superpowers. And at which point it's a flex. And at which point then you have this pretext of, oh, weapons of mass destruction or Osama bin Laden or a liberation movement or this or that. There's always an excuse to justify going to war with a country that doesn't want the petrodollar or wants to move away from the petrodollar or has natural resources we want. There's always going to be an excuse. They're always going to find a way to make the ends justify the means. That's how it's always going to fucking be.
Now, I want to hit here for a moment here. Burkina Faso. I've been watching this area in Africa for a long time, for the last 3.5, almost 5 years. Holy shit.
Okay.
They're up and running again, doing well. And the new leader in that region, he allied with 4 other leaders in that area. And
really?
Yeah, they created a coalition, but an economical coalition to bring back what they needed to be. To be reliant on themselves, where jobs,
self-reliant and self-sufficient.
Yeah, jobs, school, and this new guy, he's about 38 years old now. Was it 38 years old, 39 now? And he was seen with world leaders who are wearing these suits, ties. No, he wore battle fatigues. He wore fatigues, like he wore camo and hat beret. This guy meant fucking business, okay? Only one wearing camo in front of leaders wearing 3-piece suits and a fake smile. This guy.
Yeah, that's kind of where fucking Zelensky got his idea, wearing his fucking war fatigues that look more like pajamas than fucking military fatigues. I mean,
but this guy,
you've seen my military gear. I mean,
yeah.
I got it on the wall right there. Kind of little side decoration piece.
But this dude, he kicked out France, all of France.
Damn.
Nothing left is French. Nothing left is French.
Not surprising. But it happens. And you've got a lot of these countries that want to stand on their own. And I think the Middle East really wanted to stand on its own. And I think even Israel wants to stand on its own, but they're just not in a position to do so. They need control of all these resources in order to stand on their own. That's what it really is. Israel alone does not have the economic hold to really stand on its own and be its own country and protect itself from any foreign threat without the U.S.'s help. So it would need to actually circumvent and take control of all the resources in the Middle Eastern region and have them under their direct control so that they are a sustainable superpower.
Well, here's the thing: what they need to do, and I want to turn up to another. I want to turn up to 22 here.
Uh-oh, he's really going to go off on him. Hold on. We got to do it. Since we've been talking about it, he's going to turn the dial up on who? The Jews.
The only way that Israel can be stable, okay, what they're doing is a war crime.
Yeah.
It violates international law, okay? Now, Iran, yes, they have nuclear, but they're turning it into energy. Energy, right? Energy. If Israel,
and even if they were pursuing a nuclear weapon, with Israel having nuclear weapons and being an aggressor towards Iran, can you really blame them for wanting to level the playing field? I mean, I'm not a fan of the mullahs. I'm not defending terrorism. I'm just looking at this house. I'm looking at this from a real world perspective. Yeah. If you have a neighbor that's hostile towards you, you know they got weapons, you know they got all this stuff, you're gonna do what you have to protect yourself. You're gonna get your own weapons, you're gonna get surveillance. You're gonna try to protect yourself. Okay, devil's advocate here.
The only way that Israel can sustain itself is you gotta get rid of the president and prime minister. Those two are bringing the whole region down. Yep. And the thing is,
Mark Levin and Bibi Netanyahu.
The thing is, trade. Okay. If you want your country to run like a well-oiled machine, and I mean a serious economic oil machine, don't attack anybody. All you're doing is you're pushing people away.
Well, the problem is they're trying to regain control of the ancient Israeli territory that is still debated to be part of Iran or Palestine or this area or that area. Yeah. That's your first problem. The second problem is Israel doesn't have that many resources to become a part of the trade system. They have olives, they have a few tech companies, and they have the intelligence aspect, which they feed to the United States, which has been hit or miss, to say the least. They don't have a lot to offer in terms of making themselves a sustainable country. I mean, how much olive oil do you need? I mean, how much tech can you buy from Israel that can't be bought from a more well-established supplier in, say, Asia or the Philippines or even in the United States? They need real infrastructure there that really generates revenue. That's why we wanted to bring businesses back to the United States, because we need businesses. You take companies that come to the United States and have plants in the United States and Mexico, like Nissan or Mitsubishi or any of these foreign car companies or tech manufacturers, or even using our own oil and opening up businesses here or subcontracting to businesses from overseas.
Yeah.
Okay. You have a lot of shit. Hell, didn't Volkswagen used to have plants here in the United States? I think they have to import most of their shit here now.
They got plants here. Well, I don't know.
Not as many as they used to. I think they have to import a lot of their shit here.
They have
a lot of it's been made overseas.
Volkswagen has a plant in Mexico and Brazil.
Yeah, but in order to, they probably have a few facilities here, maybe a powertrain facility and manufacturing facilities, but not to the degree that they used to. I mean, they used to be nearly as prominent in the United States as Ford.
Yeah.
You know, especially back in the day when Detroit was the motor city capital of the world instead of a ghetto and synonymous for crime and being run down.
Also, how about leave Palestine alone and let them rebuild? Because the thing is, look, there needs to be a point that, look, lives are being lost. Okay, they are.
Yeah. But like you showed, Israel's being bombarded. They're being hit. A large percentage, I saw the other day, a large percentage of Israel, the Israeli occupants, are wanting to migrate out of the area. Bibi's approval ratings are in the fucking toilet, probably worse than Trump's at this point. And the Israeli people are wanting to fucking flee because they're tired of their homes being bombed. They're being under threat of death by way of a military strike. I mean, that's very scary to be living in the middle of a fucking war zone. So anybody who sits there and says we're anti-Semitic,
now they realize. Now they understand why the people of Palestine are being treated the way they are.
Yeah, and it's not most of the Israeli citizens. Most of the Israeli citizens are just good people trying to live their lives, just like anybody else. So if anybody says we don't support Israel or the Jewish people, no, we are fully supporting of the Jewish people. We don't want to see Israeli citizens die. We don't want to see Jewish people in other countries becoming targets because of the way the Israeli government is responding and acting in not only this war, but in regards to the Christian community and other subsequent issues. There's a handful of people that are making things bad for the Jewish community as a whole. And we stand in opposition to that. We firmly support the Jewish people. We don't support the assholes that are making life hard for the Jewish people. So let that be clear.
Do you think the mass migration of crows was a sign?
I mean, it happens. I didn't hear anything about this. Do elaborate.
There were crows. Migration of millions and millions of crows went to Israel and just sat and landed there.
Well, crows, they generally follow military, and it's usually been seen as a bad omen. But the science behind that is when crows see military platoons, they know death is imminent, so they can scavenge. Crows are scavengers. So they can, so if they see a military platoon marching, they know food and scavenging opportunities are bound to present themselves. So they'll follow that military area. Now, you've got crows in Israel. Now, if a crow sees, hey, shit's getting blown up, there are people dead, there's opportunity to scavenge, the crows are going to go and tell their buddies. Crows are very intelligent creatures. I believe that crows and wasps are the two species, one of the two species on the planet. There may be more, but these two species in particular, I know for a fact, remember people. So if you fuck with a crow, it's going to remember you. If you fuck with a wasp or a wasp nest, those wasps are going to remember you. They have internal recognition software in their fucking brains. They will remember your ass. They recognize death. They recognize patterns. They recognize opportunities. They can easily recognize things.
The crow is one of my favorite birds.
Cool.
And
now you have even more reason to like them, just given the fact that they're intelligent and able to remember you and recognize certain things and opportunities. I mean, they're very intelligent creatures. I mean, people say that dolphins are one of the most intelligent creatures on the planet, nearly equal to humans. But you can't discount the crow or the wasp. These creatures are very smart. They're very intelligent.
Mm-hmm.
So if they see an opportunity and they see death and an opportunity to scavenge, they're going to tell their friends, and that's where you get probably seeing that mass migration.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's an omen or prophecy or anything, but it's just simple scientific logic that this would happen. Now, if this is part of some biblical prophecy, okay, again, everything spiritual could just be a level of science that we as human beings don't understand. And biblical prophecy can just as easily be based on the scientific method and common sense predictability as anything else. It's like, okay, cause and effect. Simply cause and effect. It's like, okay, you're going to see war in the Middle East. That's biblically prophesied. Then you're going to see crows coming. Okay, that's that's acknowledging cause and effect. Yes, it's part of the prophecy. No denying that. Okay, and God will point this out and tell his prophets and whatnot to point out these signs and for us to be watchful of those signs. And yeah, I could definitely say that could be biblical prophecy.
I want to play a short here real quick.
Just send it to me. I can't see it.
Okay.
Let's go ahead and send it to me. I'll pull it up.
Okay.
Okay. All right, I got it. Let me pull it up for you. Thank you, Reverend. That was really fast. Mad props to you on that. You know, you on it, bro.
Yep.
It's like an Alfred Hitchcock film. Wow. It's not surprising, if I'm being honest with you. Again, biblical prophecy can just be acknowledging cause and effect as well. You know, not denying the Holy Ghost at all. I'm just acknowledging that even the Holy Ghost, it can point out cause and effect. And that could definitely be a very prominent sign because people are going to notice that. So yeah, that I would take that as biblical prophecy, and that that's something that the Holy Ghost is moving in people, because people will notice things like that, especially when you become complacent to things like war, and it's been so constant, especially in the past few centuries. When you get used to it, but you don't get used to seeing large flocks of birds, or especially of a particular bird like a crow, migrating to a particular area. People are going to notice that, and they're going to take notice and make the biblical prophetic connection. So yeah, I would say that is the fulfillment, and I will acknowledge that as a biblical prophecy for sure. Absolutely.
I see it as not just a bunch of fucking crows, man. I'm saying the saying goes, what comes around goes around.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's bound to happen. I mean, Tel Aviv's been hit hard. And again, I think that one possible military angle to this is Israel wants to rebuild the third temple, but they can't without destroying the Dome of the Rock, which will hurt their public relations and cause the entire Middle East to come crashing down on their heads. So they, in theory, need this war and have one of Iran's missiles veer off target and inadvertently destroy the Dome of the Rock, at which point that would absolve Israel of the public relations nightmare that they would incur, as well as save them from having the entire Middle East and its allies come crashing down on them like a swarm of locusts. And at which point they'd be free to rebuild the third temple because the Dome of the Rock was completely destroyed inadvertently. And it's not Israel's fault that there was an armed conflict and one of the Iranian missiles veered off course and accidentally destroyed their own Dome of the Rock. Shit happens. You know?
But this is why this is why 7 presidents were not stupid enough to invade Iran.
Yeah, but again, Trump listens to the people that are nice to him, even people that he knows are legitimately evil. Like, he really needs to get some sleep and wake up with a fresh set of eyes and a well-rested brain and go, uh-oh. And really course correct. Like, he needs to take 2 days off.
Yeah, he looks like he looks like he's on a coke binge.
The guy works constantly. He's a fucking workaholic, and it's taking a toll on his health. The guy doesn't hardly sleep. I think he sleeps like maybe 2 hours a day. Like, dude, you need to get a full 8 hours of sleep. Okay, I understand you got a lot to do, but there's 24 hours in a day. Handle shit for 16, and then get 6 to 8 hours of sleep, and then wake up with a fresh set of eyes and a fresh brain to where you can handle things properly. Because a lot of people are arguing that that's what the biggest problem is with Trump. He's tired and therefore easily manipulated. That could, in fact, be it. He's being run ragged and is overly tired, and his enemies who are close to him are exploiting it, and he's just too tired to notice and think that everybody's his friend. Okay, maybe if he got himself, took like 2 days, took a break, got some sleep, played some golf, and then came back with a fresh set of eyes, we'd see a vastly different Trump. Maybe. I don't know.
Golf. I would get at least 8 hours of sleep, man.
Yeah, but you need a little R&R. All work and no play makes Jack a dull boy. Okay? You need a little R&R. The man needs to take a break. He needs to sit down, get a couple good nights sleep, play some golf, get some R&R, recharge his fucking batteries, and just let the weight of everything settle, and then go back in there fully refreshed and ready to go.
Shit, fuck your wife from time to time, man. Shit, dude.
Well, I mean, how are you gonna even do that when you're working 22 hours out of the day and only sleeping 2 hours? Okay, I understand the man's a workaholic, but damn, dude. And this is coming from a place of love. This isn't coming from a place of hate. It's like, dude, get some sleep. Take care of yourself. And then come back when you're well rested and look at things with a fresh set of eyes.
Well, shit. Pounding the wife's pussy, man. Like, hey, if I could do that for an hour and a half, shit, I could probably fuck the anger on my wife's pussy.
I'm trying to appeal to Trump's good side, and you're talking about fucking Trump's wife, man. You're killing it.
And after that, a good night's sleep, and just
like legit Trump. I'm saying this from a place of love. Go take a few days off, get a few good nights sleep, play some golf, recharge your batteries, and then come back fully refreshed with a fresh set of eyes. And I think we'll see a completely different Trump at that point. I would at least hope. I'm trying to have hope. I'm trying to.
Exactly. You understand.
Again, fighting for souls here, fighting for souls. And whose soul is more on the line right now and is going to have the greatest impact than the soul of the president in the United States? Okay, so coming from a position of love here, and because I see nothing but bad happening right now, especially with everything that's happened in Iran and with the space shuttle thing in conjunction with the UFO thing that's fixing to drop, and the conjunction with this correlating to old biblical texts, Mayan texts, and biblical prophecies and coinciding with Genesis. It's a lot of the same stuff, and we need to see it for what it is biblical prophecy coming to pass. And they're bringing it about, using it as a playbook, and we need to acknowledge it and address it and call it for what it is.
Distraction.
And be mindful of what we're facing, because we're with this UFO declassification, Trump saying that, we need to up military space force, and now you got this subsequent Artemis launch and all that shit going on.
Question about that.
It's all one major coincidence.
Space Force. Who are we fighting? Asteroids?
Well, I mean, you look at the issues with the UFO files and the declassification of that and the alleged alien threat. You look at all of that. You look at the declassification. You look at the alien threat. You look at Space Force, NASA's Artemis launch, Project Bluebeam, all of it. All of it coinciding. The war in Iran, all of it coinciding to bring about
they could have done
biblical
that
prophecy and bring about the second coming of the Antichrist, and or Jesus Christ. It's all biblical prophecy.
Release the files, man. 20 years ago.
Toad Blanche ain't gonna release those goddamn files, man. Yeah, dude needs to go. That man needs to go faster than Pam Bondi went. Like, he needs to be out now.
Exactly, man.
And on that note, we're going to go ahead and put the turkey in the oven. So, with everything being said.
Yep. Put the turkey in the oven before Joe Biden cooks it.
I think we've gone as far as we can today. We're a little over 2 hours. We've had an amazing broadcast. Again, if you have enjoyed this broadcast, share the retransmissions. Follow us on X, YouTube, Rumble, all at REALTWWRN. And even after we're offline, keep the conversation going. Zero, you've been a great participant in that. But I know there's millions of other people out there who see these broadcasts. Share the live feed. Follow us on our various social medias and keep the conversation going. Share your thoughts and opinions on the things that we talked about. And as always, be sure to check out our online store. Tons and tons of great merchandise here. Check it out, guys. Seriously, check it out. RealTWWRN.printify.me. Tons of great merch. We got the Resistance is Now t-shirt and poster. We've got the Jesus versus Genghis Khan poster and stickers. The Trump, if gas prices go up, they go up. The presidential cabinet stickers. Tons of t-shirts, hoodies, hats, thermoses, coffee mugs, shot glasses, cell phone cases, bumper stickers, and so much more to come. So again, check out the online store, RealTWWRN.printify.me. And on that note, that's all we got for you, ladies and gentlemen. So if you're watching this is Chris Sheldon, the Tin Man, your White Rabbit. Haven't taken you down the rabbit hole. This is Reverend Odo. Reverend, where can people find you?
You can find me on Minds, Melee, Cloud Hub, Mastodon, YouTube, X, now on Scoops.
Yep. And all his links are posted in the opener of our video. So be sure to check him out. He posts content practically daily. This guy's a fucking beast. Like I tip my hat to this.
Also on Rumble. Also on Rumble, the Council of Generation X.
See, this man doesn't miss a beat. He's on his shit. He's like, boom, 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 boom. I know. That's why I love this guy. I know I can count on him. He gets shit done. Like, nobody even has to ask him. Like, I'll be at work and he'll be like, hey, I'm live, bro. And I'm like, cool. Send me the link so I can repost it. Like, this man is on his shit. Gotta love him. Mad props to you, Revan. Mad props to you, my friend, my brother in Christ. And to everybody else, thank you.
I even get shit done before I flush.
What?
Yes, I went there. Yeah, I went there.
Okay. Moving on. But nothing but love for you, Revan. And nothing but love to our audience. Thank you to everybody that tuned in. Thank you to Zero for having joined in on the comments. And as Zero just pointed out in the comments, if you're watching this, you are the resistance. Because this is, as always, of the people, by the people, for the people. It's all about you guys. So until Wednesday for our episode of Tin Man TV, stay safe, stay strong.
And also this Tuesday, we're going to do the Great Jedi Order TV. Great Jedi TV.
All right, I'll be there for that. I was not aware of this. Thank you for bringing that to my attention, Revan. So yeah, until Tuesday, stay strong.
We're gonna do Great Jedi TV every Tuesday evening.
Okay, I'm down for that. I'm down for that. Fuck yeah, dude. Would you rather do that Tuesday or Monday?
It'll be Tuesdays. Tuesday evening.
Okay, you want to do Tuesdays. Okay, evening, yeah. I can get behind that. Tuesdays at what time?
We're going to do about 7:30. About 7:30 my time.
So 7:30 your time. That would be Pacific Standard Time.
Yeah.
And you're about 2 hours ahead of me, so that would be
9:30 your time.
Yeah, 9:30 my time. I'm fine with that. I'm down with that. All right. So yeah, we got ourselves another show going here. How about that shit? We'll make it happen, guys. The taping schedule is going to be a little sporadic, but I'm down with this. I'm down with this. Okay, so Tuesday. At what time?
Tuesday at 7:30 on the Great Jedi TV.
All right. And that is Pacific Standard Time. So until Tuesday night, this is the Tin Man with the Worldwide Resistance Network. Chris Sheldon, your White Rabbit, having taken you down the rabbit hole on another political roundtable.
And I am Reverend Ordo, the Mandalore of Common Sense.
There you go. Until next time, if you are watching this, you are the resistance. Again, stay strong, stay vigilant. Until next time, be safe and God bless you all. Peace.